Hey, hey, chat. What is up? What's up, Patrick? Thanks for joining. What's up, Aman? Hey, Nikki. What's up, Katie? Uh, Katie says we need to make it a rule that we get a song for every minute he is late. Oh, are you scolding me for being late? All right. Yeah, keep scolding. I'm gonna be later and later every time. I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna come. Wait, is wait, am I on? I think I'm on. Am I on, you guys? Am I live? Oh, hey. Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm gonna start the stream later and later. How about that? Huh? What do you think about that? What's up, Streety McNeedy? Hey, Dee. What is up, Hannah? Natasha? Glad you could join. Hey, St. Miles. Hi. Okay, whoa. Okay, there's a lot of people. Hervis, Burning Kazar, Dark Edge, Gabby, a sad soul. Oh, why are you sad? That's a sad name. That's a sad username. Hey, Kane. Do. Hey, Anna. Hi from Panama. Hey, from the United States. What is up? Hey, Lily. Okay. So I got the vaccine. I got the COVID vaccine this week. Yeah. Um, I'm an idiot. Okay, so I was going to get the vaccine, right? I was driving along and I was driving along, went to the building and it said, "Oh, vaccine or vaccinations here." So there's a sign, and I go in. I got kind of lost. I had to ask some people where to park. So I went into the parking lot. I parked. Uh, I walk in. Okay, there's like a bunch of lines. But there wasn't that many people. There was a bunch of, but there was a bunch of places you got to go through. So I went inside the buildings. And then I got to a line, and there was this lady who was like, "Oh," she was asking me questions. So she goes, "Oh, so did you have a vaccine in the last 2 weeks? Were you sick? Blah blah blah." The normal type of questions. So I answered them all, and then they let me in. And then I got all the way inside the place where they're supposed to give me the vaccine, and they were looking me up, and they find out that I didn't have a reservation. And I was like, "Wait, no, I did get the reservation." I showed him my reservation on my phone, and he's like, "Oh, you're in the wrong place. Yeah, your place is like a building like a mile away." I was like, "Shit!" So I had to go all the way. I would have to go all the way out, drive out, and drive to the actual vaccination place, which was just another like 2 more blocks away. Okay, so there were two places that did vaccinations. So I'm an idiot. I just saw the first sign that said vaccination, and then I went in, and I thinking that was my place. But anyways, I eventually went to the right place. Um, and I got my vaccine. All right, that was my first dose. There's another dose in 2 weeks. After that, I should be good. Right? I should be immune, and I should be able to walk outside and shit. What's up, Libin? Hi, some noob. Are you a noob? Are you from the UK? What's up, UK peoples? I love the UK. Never been there. Is the VPN off? The VPN is off. Yeah, I remember this time. You just had your second dose on Friday. Congratulations. Love it. Love it. All right. Before we start, I have this. Hey. It is Lucky Stick. So you guys, I'm going to show you my Lucky Stick. Uh, this is what? Double cream chocolate flavor. It's chocolate flavored and coffee flavored cream. All right. This sounds exciting. Hey, Tatiana. That's an awesome name. Why can't you get a vaccine? You're probably too young. You're fine. You're fine. If you're under 18, you'll be fine. You don't need a vaccine now. It does have that coffee smell. All right. Oh, very strong coffee smell. Are you guys a fan of coffee? I'm not. But that smell is pretty good. The smell's pretty good though. All right. Let's see how it tastes. Not bad. Very strong coffee taste. A little bit of the cream. I also can taste the cream. Not bad. It does look like Pocky. It's like a fatter Pocky stick. Yeah. Made in the Meiji era, apparently. I don't like coffee. Yeah, I'm not a fan of coffee. I drink tea. Milk tea. An extra thick Pocky. That's an extra thick. That's an extra thick stick. I showed you my extra. Never mind. The fat Pocky. You don't like things to taste with a. You don't like things to eat with a coffee taste. I'm the opposite. I don't like drinking coffee, but I do like the smell, kind of. And this thing is pretty much fits the bill. You like the ASMR? Oh, maybe I can do a ASMR stream. All right, I have another one. Can you hear me chewing? Is this how they do it? Oh, all right, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna stop now at risk of just eating the entire thing. All right. Woo. Oh, so yesterday I did go to get to a boba shop and bought some milk tea. Yeah, first time in a while, which is really good. Yeah, I feel safer now, so I can go places. I can go to restaurants and eat. Yeah. Well, at least buy takeout, right? All right. So what happened next week? Oh, what happened last week? What did I say next week? What happened last week in the story? So last week, our hero Ling Hu Chong, he goes to the home of Lin Pingzhi, right? And he goes there at night, and he's being a creep. He's spying on people, and he spies his little apprentice sister, his younger apprentice sister, Yue Lingshan, and Lin Pingzhi. They're off together. They're in this building together. Okay, they're being. She's visiting, or she's meeting with him. So Yue Lingshan and Lin Pingzhi are meeting. and they're being disgustingly lovey-dovey. Okay, so they're very intimate. And Ling Hu Chang is being a little creep, watching from outside the window. And what those two are doing is they're looking for the evil resisting sword manual, right? Looking for the ancestral martial arts of Lin Pingzhi, which is really powerful. And they're looking, they can't find it. But then two men come in and subdue them out of nowhere. And these two men are also looking for the manual, the martial arts manual. And they actually found it, okay? So after, 40-something chapters, we found where the martial arts manual is. So apparently it's up in the roof, or up on the on the ceiling or something. And they find it. It's actually this monk's robe, and the manual is written on the monk's robe. Okay, so all the martial arts stuff, the words are written on the monk's robe, and they found it and they run away. Those two men that came in, they ran away. Now Ling Hu Chang sees this. Okay, he sees everything. He runs also, and he chases after them, and he chases after them, gets into a fight. Okay, he gets hurt, he gets wounded, but he kills those two guys. Okay, he kills the two thieves, and he gets back the monk's robe. But then he's injured, and he falls unconscious. Okay, falls unconscious, and then he wakes up, and he's in a bed, and in the same room are his master and master wife. Okay, so he's reunited with his school. He's in bed, he's recovering, but turns out his master still doesn't like him. His master still is mad. He hasn't forgiven him yet. But his master wife seems to be okay, right? She's always loved him, and she was the one who actually found him. Okay, so he was unconscious on the road or something, and then his master wife found him. The thing is, so he was so happy that he found the robe with the martial arts written on it, but then it turns out that it's gone. Okay, he put it in he put it under his robe, but now it's gone. So where did it go? We don't know. And at that point, some people from the Songshan school arrive. Okay, and we find out that those two men that he killed last night were members of the Songshan school. They were pretty high up members of the Songshan school, and they want revenge. So they get into a fight. And then for some reason, the Hangshan school disciples come. They arrive and they stop the fight. Okay, and that's where we are. How's that? How's that recap? Dun, 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 dun. Yue Buchun is always pissed off. Yeah, his master is always pissed off. Okay, let's go to the live screen. Let's see what happened last time. Can we strain everyone's on the same side? Oh yeah, so remember the Hangshan school disciples stop everyone, they restrain everyone, but then this Zhang Zhan guy, he's a member of the Songshan school. He attacks them. All right, so that's what happened last time. That's where we left off. All right, let's do this. All right, chapter 24, Injustice, part 2. Zhang Zhen laughed as he moved like lightning, injuring Hangshan School's disciples one by one. In the ensuing confusion, the other 14 disciples in the other two formations were distracted, Don Bagong and Gao Kuxin simultaneously took advantage of this to launch their attacks. Immediately, there were sounds of swords clashing. Ling Huchong grabbed Yi Hu's sword from the ground and struck out. There were sounds of Qiang Lang, Ha, Hey, and many others as he hit the back of Gao Kuxin's hand, causing him to drop his sword. He made Deng Bagong's soft whips turn over and wrap around his own neck, and struck Zhang Zhen's hand, forcing him to retreat a few steps. But Zhang Zhen still managed to feebly hold on to his trembling sword with a weakened hand. Two girls sharply called out. One shouted, "General Wu!" while the other one cried, "Big brother Ling Hu!" Zheng E was the one who called out General Wu. The way Ling Huchong made these three people retreat with his sword art was identical to the sword art used to defeat these three people in Nian Bapu's inn. Gao Kuxin was at a loss. Deng Bagong was choking, while Zhang Zhen was startled and angry at the same time. Zheng E had a sharp mind, and she had previously seen Ling Huchong use this move. Although his appearance and clothes were now completely different, she still managed to recognize him immediately from his sword move. The other person who called out Big Brother Ling Hu was, of course, Yi Lin. She was in the group with Zhu, Yu Jun, and Yu Ji surrounding Deng Bagong. Since they were in formation, everyone was concentrating completely, and their eyes were observing the enemy closely. With their eyes so focused, they only saw the point that each was aiming at. The person aiming at the head was only looking at the head, and the person aiming at the chest was only looking at the chest. They didn't look at any other parts of the enemy's body, so naturally, they didn't even see the person next to them. Only when the formation was scattered, she was able to see Ling Huchong. Yilin had not seen him for more than a year when he suddenly appeared in front of her. Yilin's whole body shook, and she was feeling giddy. Now that he had been recognized, Ling Huchong realized that he wouldn't be able to conceal his identity anymore. He laughed and chided, "Your granny. You three chaps don't know about good and evil. Hangshan School's Shutai already spared you a life, but you unexpectedly returned their kindness with enmity. General isn't pleased in seeing this at all. Suddenly, he felt dazed. His vision darkened, and with his legs giving out, he fell down on the ground heavily. Yilin rushed forward quickly to support him and worriedly called out, "Big brother Ling Hu! Big brother Ling Hu!" She then saw his right shoulder and arm were bleeding profusely. She took out her school's white cloud bear gallbladder medicine pill from her sleeve and fed it to him. Zheng E and Yu Jin also took out their school's heavenly connecting glue and applied it to his wounds. Each of the Hangshan school's disciples was grateful to him for helping them. If he hadn't helped them that day, each of them would have lost her life. Not only would they have died miserably, they might also have been insulted by those evildoers. The Hangshan disciples busied themselves applying medicines, wiping blood, and wrapping the wounds. They were doing all these tasks with all their hearts. When any female in the world has met with this kind of urgent situation, they would start talking incessantly. Even though Hangshan school disciples were warriors of Wulin, they weren't exempt from this female trait. They were all talking at once as they surrounded Ling Huchong. Some were sighing, some were showing concern, some were asking who hurt my general, and some were saying that the attacker was vicious and heartless. They were all talking about different things, while some were also reciting Ami Tuofu. The Huashan school people were quite surprised when they saw this scene unfolding in front of them. Yilin, still thirsty after all this time. Yue Bushun thought to himself, Hangshan School's disciples are highly disciplined. Why are all these female disciples acting this way? They're actually fussing over this loafer Ling Huchong and staring at him, not even observing the proper distance between man and women. They're also calling him big brother and general. When has this young thief become a general? They're really ignorant and have become muddle-headed. How come there is no Hangshan School elder in charge of them? Zhang Zhen made a hand signal to his two martial brothers, and they immediately pointed their weapons and rushed at Ling Hucheng. They knew that if this person was not eliminated, they would have endless trouble in the future. Moreover, they had lost twice under his sword. This was a good opportunity to get rid of this person while he was still unconscious. Yihu whistled, and 14 female disciples immediately formed a row, dancing their swords about, and blocked Zhang Zhen and his two brothers. Each of the female disciples' martial arts wasn't high, but when they were fighting in formation, they were like 4 or 5 first-class masters. Originally, Yue Buchun wanted to mediate between these two sides, but he couldn't anticipate how all these incidents would unfold. He also didn't know how the two sides had developed this enmity. In addition, he disliked both the Songshan and Hangshan schools, so he thought he should just watch for the moment and wait patiently for things to change. He saw the Hangshan school disciples were defending very tightly. Zhang Zhen was attacking continuously, but he wasn't able to get near at all. Cao Guxin came up with an idea. He feinted an attack towards the front person, but instead slashed towards Yi Jing's thigh. Suddenly injured and seeping blood, Yi Jing was distressed, even though her injury wasn't heavy. From his dazed state, Ling Hucheng heard the sounds of swords clashing continuously. He opened his eyes to have a look and saw Yilin's anxious face. She was praying. All living things are distressed. There is immeasurable bitterness all over the body. Guan Yin, with her divine intelligence, can offer salvation from this bitterness. He felt very thankful for Yilin's prayer. As he struggled to stand up, he whispered, "Thank you, little martial sister. Hand me a sword." You don't, Yilin pleaded. Ling Hucheng returned a slight smile as she gave her sword to him. He held onto her shoulder with his left hand to stand up, and then staggered and swayed as he walked forward. Yilin was still anxious about his injury, but when she felt that she was supporting his weight on her shoulder, she felt more courageous. She then transferred her whole body's energy to her right shoulder. Ling Hucheng passed by several female disciples to get in front. With the first strike of his sword, Cao Guxin dropped his sword. With the second strike, Dang Bagong's soft whip wrapped around his neck. Oh, this guy's whip keeps wrapping around his neck. The third strike hit the top of Zhang Zhen's sword. Zhang Zhen knew that Ling Hucheng's sword art was strangely magical and that he was definitely not his match. But he saw him standing unsteadily, so he relied on his internal energy to hit Ling Hucheng's sword out of his hand. As the two swords clashed, he immediately transferred his internal energy into the sword. Suddenly, he felt his energy started to flow out swiftly and unexpectedly. He couldn't stop it. It was because Ling Hucheng's art of essence absorbing had become unwittingly deep. It didn't need contact between skin anymore. As long as the opponent used his internal energy to attack, then he would be able to absorb the energy through the sword. Okay, so now Ling Hucheng is like super powerful. He can absorb your energy just through the touch of a sword. Zhang Zhen was alarmed and quickly withdrew the sword. He then thrust his sword out again. Ling Hucheng saw the lower part of the side of his body was wide open and wanted to take advantage of this and kill him, but his arm felt weak and he couldn't do what he wanted to. So he was only able to block the sword. When the swords clashed again, Zhang Zhen's internal energy flowed out once more, and his heart rate increased. He was frightened and angry at the same time, but he withdrew his sword again. He then gathered his strength to thrust the longsword forward. Midway through, the sword changed direction sharply and was now aiming at Yilin's chest. This move was both false and true at the same time. It had many variations and was extremely fierce. If Ling Hucheng moved to save Yilin, then Zhang Zhen would pierce his lower abdomen. If Ling Hucheng didn't move to save Yilin, then this sword would really pierce her. Also, he wanted to confuse Ling Hucheng so that an opportunity to kill him would arise. Everyone was calling out in alarm when they saw the point of the sword had already reached Yilin's gown. Ling Huchang's long sword suddenly crossed over and hit the top of Zhang Zhen's sword. Zhang Zhen's long sword instantly stopped in the middle of the air, glued to Ling Huchang's sword. Zhang Zhen used more strength to push forward, but unexpectedly, it didn't even move the slightest bit. His sword slowly bent upwards, and at the same time, his internal energy started to flow out. Summing up the situation really quickly, he hastily withdrew his sword and jumped backwards. However, he had lost a lot of energy previously and had not had time to gather more. As his body was in midair, he suddenly felt paralyzed and landed heavily. This landing looked very awkward. It was as if it was done by an ordinary person without any martial arts. Supported by his two hands on the ground, Zhang Zhen slowly struggled to get up, but only managed to get up halfway before he tottered to one side and fell to the ground again. Zhang Zhen was staring at Ling Huchang's face. His thought turned back to more than 10 years ago when the Devil Sect's chief Ren Wuxia shook the entire Wulin world. But Ren Wuxia couldn't be this 20-something-year-old youth. He stammered, You're Ren Wuxia's disciple. You know the art of essence absorbing. Gao Kusin was alarmed. Martial brother, did he absorb your internal energy? Yes, answered Zhang Zhen. But he was now standing steadily as he felt his internal energy gradually increasing. It was because Ling Huchang's cultivation of the art of essence absorbing was not that profound yet. Also, he didn't intentionally absorb Zhang Zhen's energy. It was just that Zhang Zhen felt awkward because he felt his energy flowing out and was scared to death. Deng Bagong whispered, Let's get out of here. We'll come back later. Zhang Zhen waved his hands and said to Ling Huchang in a loud voice, Devil sex demon, you're using such an evil method. From now on, you are the enemy of all the heroes in this world. Today, I'm not your match, but our orthodox schools would never surrender to the disgusting power of your evil method. He then turned around, gave Yue Buchun a bow, and inquired, Mr. Yue, you have no relationship with this devil sex demon, correct? Yue Buchun just uttered a but did not answer. Zhang Zhen didn't dare to be unruly in front of him, so he said, The real situation would eventually be revealed. We'll meet again. And he then walked away with his two martial brothers. He lost. Lost badly. Man, our hero is like a super powerful dude now, right? He can basically beat everyone. I skipped a paragraph? No. Where? It's probably not important. I'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yue Buchun went down the entrance stairs and agitatedly said, Ling Huchang, you're good. So you've learned Ren Wuxia's art of essence absorbing. Crap. Although Ling Huchang had learned Ren Wuxia's martial arts accidentally, the fact was he had learned it, so he couldn't dispute it at all. Yue Buchun fiercely asked, I asked you, is this true? Yes, Ling Huchang answered. Yue Buchun viciously declared, You've practiced this evil method, so you're the enemy of all the orthodox schools. Today you're carrying an injury, so I won't take advantage of you. When we meet again, if I don't kill you then, it means that you've killed me. He turned sideways and addressed the Huashan school disciples. This person is your mortal enemy. Whoever still has any feeling towards him, like he was your martial brother, then remove yourself from this school. Do all of you understand? All the disciples answered together, Yes. Yue Buchun saw his daughter looking like she had something to say. He said, Shan-er, even though you're my daughter, I won't make an exception. Do you understand? Yue Lingshan answered in a small voice, I understand. Ling Huchang was already weak from his injuries, but when he heard these words, he suddenly felt both his knees powerless. He dropped his sword and slowly slumped down. Yihu, who was standing on his right, extended her hand to support him. She ventured, Marshal Uncle Yue, there must have been a misunderstanding. It's just too crude to sever your relationship like this when you haven't investigated this matter yet. Yue Buchun demanded, What misunderstanding? Yihu answered, My Hangshan school's disciples were recently accosted by the devil sex demons. At every battle, this Linghu General Wu helped us in fighting them. If he was a devil sex person, why would he help us in fighting them off and make himself an enemy of the devil sect? Yihu had heard Yilin called him Big Brother Linghu, while Yue Buchun had called him Linghu Chong, but she knew him as General Wu, so she decided to just call him with both names. Yue Buchun said, Devil sex demons are very crafty. I don't believe this. Don't believe his act. Which Shitai is leading your school's group and coming to the south. He believed that these young nuns and ladies had been affected by Linghu Chong's fancy speech, and only an experienced senior Shitai would be able to see through this ruse. Yihu mournfully answered, Marshal Uncle Dingjing's Shitai was unfortunately killed by the devil sex demons en route. Yue Buchun and Madame Yue were both alarmed. Right at that moment, a middle-aged nun came towards the Hangshan school disciples. She stopped in front of Yihu and said, A letter has arrived from the White Cloud Temple's pigeon. As she offered her a small bamboo tube with both hands, Yihu took the tube, opened its plug, took out the small rolled-up cloth from inside the tube, and rolled it open. After reading it, she exclaimed, Ai yo, this is not good. When Hangshan school disciples heard that a letter had arrived from the White Cloud Temple, they all crowded around Yihu. When they saw Yihu was frightened, they hastily asked, What? What's on Master's letter? What's not good? Yihu gave the letter to Yi Qing, saying, Marshal's sister, take a look. Yi Qing took the letter and read it aloud. Dingyu Shitai and I are besieged by enemies in the Dragon Spring Sword Forging Valley. She then questioned, This is Abbess's blood letter. How come they are at Dragon Spring? So there's a translator's note. Dragon Spring, or Longchan in Chinese, is the name of a city in the Zhejiang province. Near that city was a valley that has creeks running through it that were used by to forge some legendary swords. That valley is called Dragon Spring Sword Forging Valley. Okay. Thanks, translator. Oh, he also says, blood letter is a letter written in blood. Oh, that letter is written in blood, guys. Let's go, Zichun rallied. But we don't know who the enemy is, Yi Qing reasoned. Yihu said, They're already in an ominous situation. Let's hurry up and catch up to them. If we have to die, then we'll die together with Master. Yi Qing thought, Master and Martial Uncle's martial arts are levels above us, but the enemies still manage to besiege them. If we go there, it's most likely that we won't be able to offer them any aid. She took the blood letter, went in front of Yue Buchun, bowed to him, and requested, Marshal Uncle Yue, our abbess sent us a letter. It said, Besieged in Dragon Spring Sword Forging Valley. Marshal Uncle, considering the friendship among the 5 mountain sword schools, please think of a way to save them. Yue Buchun took the letter and read it. He questioned, How come Abbess and Dingyu Shitai are in Zhejiang? The two of them have outstanding martial arts. How did the enemies manage to besiege them? This is really strange. Is this the abbess's writing on the letter? It's my master's writing. I'm afraid that they must have been injured already, that they hastily used their blood to write the letter, Yi Qing assuredly answered. You don't know who the enemy is? Yue Buchun asked. It's probably the devil sex people. Other than them, our school has no other enemy, Yi Qing said. Yue Buchun looked at Linghu Chong from the corner of his eyes and slowly said, Maybe it's a false letter from a devil sex demon to entice you into a trap. We must be wary of their deceptions. This matter is most urgent, and Abbess has surely met with disaster, so the most important thing for us is to go and save them. Martial Sister Yiqing, let's go quickly and catch up to them. Martial Uncle Yue has no time, so it's useless to ask for his help any further, Yi shouted in a clear voice. Right, if we arrive too late, we will regret this for eternity, Yi Jin said, agreeing with Yi He. When the Hangshan school disciples saw that Yue Buchun had flatly refused their request, regardless of its upright intentions, they were all angered. Big brother Linghu, you stay at Fuzhou to tend to your wounds. We'll go and save Master and Martial Uncle first, then we'll come back to look for you here, Yilin said. Fearless thieves are harming people again. How can this general just sit back and watch? Everybody, let's go and save them, Ling Huchang responded in a loud voice. Your injuries are serious. How can you hurry along? Yilin said. This general is ready to give his body to his country and die in the battlefield. I'm going to use my feet to get there. Go, hurry up and go, Ling Huchang said. You guys see the difference between Ling Huchang and his master? His master refused, but Ling Huchang is like, no, let's go save your master right away. What? No, not demon sex. You have a dirty mind. Demon sect. Okay. I can't pronounce it perfectly every time. The Hangshan school disciples were doubtful that they would be able to save their abbess from danger, but when Ling Huchang said he was going to come with them, their spirits lifted and all their faces were filled with joy. Yi Jin said, In that case, many thanks. We'll look for a horse for you to ride. Everybody rides. How can you not get a horse if you want to fight later? Go, Ling Huchang said loudly. Seeing how his master had harshly severed their relationship earlier, he was feeling bitter and a bit insane. Yiqing bowed to Yue Buchun and Madame Yue. We take our leave from seniors. Yi cried out in fury. Why do you need to be so polite to this sort of person? You're wasting time. Their reputations have no merit, and they have no sense of righteousness. Martial sister, say no more, Yiqing reproached in a loud voice. Yue Buchun was laughing and didn't pay attention to what was said, but Lao De Noir rushed out and shouted, Watch what your filthy mouth is saying. Our 5 mountain sword schools have the same root, but different branches. When one school encounters a problem, the other 4 are ready to save them. But you are colluding together with this devil sex demon, Ling Huchang, and so your conduct must be crafty and evil. My master has to consider this extensively before giving his help. Why don't you kill this demon Ling Huchang first to make everything clear? Otherwise, my Huashan school cannot collaborate with your Hangshan school and follow your bad example. So with Ling Huchang out of the Huashan school, so Lao De Noir is the top disciple now in the school. Hey, Choi Chi Game Mode. Thank you so much for being a member. Hey, thank you so much. That's awesome of you. Yihu was indignant when she heard this. She took a big step forward and put her hand on her sword handle. She demanded, What do you mean, follow our bad example? You are colluding with the devil sect. That's what's called to follow their bad example, Lao De Noir said. Yihu was affronted and she declared, Hero Linghu is brave and righteous. He helps people in trouble. That's what you call a real hero, a gentleman. But your type of people who call yourself a hero but run away from danger when you see death, you still don't help, that's what you call a hypocrite. Yue Buchun's nickname was Gentleman's Sword, and what the Huashan school hate the most was being called hypocrite. When Lao De Noir heard her ridiculing his master, he pulled out his sword and thrust it towards Yihu's throat. He was using the Huashan school's clever move, Graceful Phoenix. Yihu didn't anticipate that he would suddenly pick a fight, so she didn't have time to block the move. She was startled as the sword reached her throat. But at the same time, flickering of swords was seen, and 7 swords were already piercing towards Lao de Noir. Lao de Noir hastily pulled his sword back, but this enabled a sword to reach his chest. The sound of chi were heard, as the other 6 swords also slashed his clothes, each making a rip of about a foot long. It was only because the Hangshan school disciples didn't want to take his life that they stopped as their swords reached his skin. But Zheng E's martial arts was still shallow, so she didn't manage to control the power of her sword properly. Once she had ripped his right sleeve, the points of her sword continued forward and slashed his skin. Lao de Noir frighteningly jumped backwards in a hurry. Just then, a book fell out of his bosom. The sun was shining brightly. Everyone saw clearly the words Violet Twilight's Secret Manual written on the book. Lao de Noir's expression changed greatly, and he tried to snatch the book back. Ling Hucheng shouted, "Stop him!" Okay, so something big just happened. So the Violet Twilight, if you remember, the Violet Twilight Secret Manual, that is a Huashan book, okay? That is his master's book, Yue Buchun's book. And everyone thought that Ling Hucheng maybe stole it or I don't know, they think he stole it or they think he lost it, okay? But if you remember back, Monkey 6 was the guy who was taking care of Ling Hucheng, okay, when he was sick. And Ling Hucheng paralyzed him and ran away, right? And the paralyzation was supposed to be temporary, okay? So Ling Hucheng just wanted to leave. But when everyone came back, Monkey 6 had died, okay? And the book was gone. So now, for some reason, Lao de Noir has the book. Oh, is it loading? Yeah, these nuns got more balls than the rest of the schools. They got gigantic ovaries. Oh no, is it lagging? I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. We'll just push on, I think. Hopefully it gets better. Oh damn it, this is a important part too. Yihu already had a sword in her hand, and she quickly made 3 slashes. Lao de Noir lifted his sword to trade moves, but he couldn't advance a single step. Dad, how come the second martial brother has a secret manual? Yue Lingshan cried. Lao de Noir, you killed 6th martial brother, didn't you? Ling Hucheng asked in a loud voice. That day when 6th martial brother, that's Monkey 6, was killed, the Violet Twilight's secret manual also went missing. He had been blamed for both incidents since then on, but today it was really unexpected that after Lao de Noir's waistband was cut by the Hangshan school disciples, the Huashan school's treasure scripture would fall out of his pocket. Nonsense! Lao de Noir shouted. As he said this, he lowered his body and charged towards a small alley. Ling Hucheng was fuming as he gave chase, but he only managed to run a few steps before he swayed and fell down. Yilin and Zheng E quickly rushed to his side to support him, while Yue Lingshan picked the book up and gave it to her father. Dad, it was second martial brother who stole the book. Yue Buchun's expression was pale as he looked at the book and ascertained that it was the internal energy secret manual that had been passed down from the previous Huashan school leader. Luckily, the book was still intact and undamaged. He then bitterly said, "It was you who wasn't good, taking the book because of your feelings." Yihu didn't want to let them off that easily, so she said in a loud voice, "That's what you call to follow your bad example." Yu Sao walked in front of Ling Hucheng and asked, "Hero Ling Hu, how do you feel?" Ling Hucheng had gritted his teeth. "My martial brother was killed by that thief. It's a pity I can't chase him. He saw Yue Wuchun turn around and enter the escort house, followed by his disciples. They then shut the escort house's main door. He thought, Master's first disciple has learned the devil sex's evil martial arts. His second disciple killed a martial brother in the same school and stole the school's secret manual. No wonder he's outraged. He then said, Abyss is being besieged, so we can't delay any longer. Our most urgent matter is to quickly go and save them. Sooner or later, that thief Lao Dunois would fall under my hand. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, it's lagging. Or it's not lagging. Oh, is it better now? That's good. Okay, so it was Lao Dunois that killed Monkey 6. That asshole. How dare he? Yu Sao said, You're currently injured, so I can't say. She was previously a servant, but at this time her position in the Hangshan school wasn't low and her martial arts was not weak, but her knowledge was limited, so she didn't know how to express her appreciation towards him. Ling Huchang said, Let's go quickly to the horse market to buy some horses. He took out the gold and silver tails out of his bosom and gave them to Yu Sao. But there weren't enough horses on the market, so the lighter female disciples had to ride double. They rode out quickly towards the north from Fuzhou. After going for more than 10 li, they saw more than 10 horses gazing on a field guarded by about 6 or 7 soldiers, so these horses must belong to the military. Get those horses, Ling Huchang said. Those are military horses. I'm afraid it's not appropriate, Yu Sao hastily replied. Saving people is most important. Even if it's the Emperor's horse, we'll still take it. What do we care about appropriate or not appropriate? Ling Huchang argued. It's a crime against the government authorities. I'm afraid, Yi Qing said. Is saving your master more important or obeying the law more important? What his granny government wait. What? That's a bad translation maybe. What his granny government authorities? General Wu is a government authority. If General wants horses, those little soldiers won't dare to deny him, Ling Huchang reasoned. Yes, complied Yi He. Knock down those soldiers and get their horses, Ling Huchang cried out. 12 horses are enough, Yi Qing said. But Ling Huchang roared, Get them all! He had an air of authority around him as he roared out his commands. Ever since Ding Jing Shutai passed away, the Hangshan school disciples had been mournful, frightened, and were at a loss about what to do. But when they heard Ling Huchang vigorously shouting his command, they urged their horses to charge forward, knocked down the soldiers guarding the horses, and seized all the horses. Those soldiers had never seen outlaw nuns before, so as they were knocked down to the ground and unable to move, they shouted, What are you doing? What kind of joke is this? That's funny. Nuns stealing horses. Horse thief nuns. Grand theft horses. After they had taken the horses, all the disciples were excited. They were all giggling and talking non-stop. They all wanted to get on the fresh horses, so they jumped onto the horses. Oh, this translation. At noon, they arrived at Nianbapu town. When the townspeople saw a group of nuns leading an army of horses with a male in their group, they were greatly surprised. Oh, hey, Kuria. Thanks for joining. I haven't seen you in a while. Awesome. You don't know the full story, but you hope he avenges Monkey 6. Oh, yeah. Monkey 6 was his best friend, okay? And he was killed by this guy. At first, he thought that he had killed the best friend because he paralyzed him temporarily. He thought he did it too hard and it killed him. So he was kind of sad for a while. But now we found out, now we realize who actually killed his best friend. When they finished eating their meals, Yi Qing counted the money they had and whispered, Brother Ling Hu, we don't have enough money. At the horse market, because everyone was thinking about their master, they weren't in the mood to haggle. All their money was used up to buy the horses, and now they only had coppers left. Marshal Sister Zheng, take Yu Sao to the horse market and sell a horse, but don't sell any of the military horses, Ling Hu Chang said. Zheng E complied, leading the horse and Yu Sao to the horse market. The other disciples covered their mouths and giggled as they were all thinking, Yu Sao is finished, and Zheng E is such a delicate little lady. It would be a rare sight at the horse market. But Zheng E was intelligent, clever, and good in speaking. She had only been in Fujian for a few days, and she had already managed to speak a few hundred words of the difficult Fujian dialect. Not long after, she had sold the horse and brought back some money to pay their bills. When night fell, they were able to see a big town far away, with houses scattered like the stars. There were at least around 700 to 800 houses in the town. When they reached there, they ate their dinner and used the money from selling the horse to pay for the bill. Not much of the money was left afterwards. Zheng E was excited and laughed. Tomorrow we have to sell another horse. Ling Hu Chang whispered, Go to the street and ask around who is the richest person in this town, and who among the richest is also the meanest or worst. Oh. Zheng E nodded and pulled Qin Chuan to come with her. Not long after, they came back. This town has one very rich person. His surname is White. His nickname is White Peeling Leather. He has a pawn shop and also a rice shop. With a nickname like White Peeling Leather, I don't think he's a good person. So peeling leather means to kill people, I guess. Ling Hu Chang laughed. Tonight, we'll go and ask him for alms. Zheng E said, These types of people are very stingy. I'm afraid we won't get any alms from him. Ling Hu Chang smiled slightly, but didn't say a word. After a while, he said, Everybody, let's go. Everyone saw that the sky was dark already, but Master was in trouble, so they were resigned to continue traveling during the night to save them. They went north from the city, but after a few li, Ling Hu Chang called out, Okay, we'll stay here to rest for the night. Everyone stayed beside a creek to have a rest. Ling Hu Chang also closed his eyes to have a rest. After about an hour, Ling Hu Chang opened his eyes and said to Yu Sao and Yi He, Each of you bring 6 martial sister and go to White Peeling Leather's house to ask for alms. Martial Sister Zheng, you lead the way. Yu Sao and Yi He both thought that this was strange, but they still complied with this order. Ling Hu Chang went on, Get at least 500 silver taels, but it'd be best to get 2,000 silver taels. Yi He was surprised. Yo, how can we ask for that much? Ling Hu Chang said, 2,000 silver taels is so small, this general wouldn't even take a look at it. If we get 2,000 taels, we keep 1,000 taels to use ourselves and give the other 1,000 to the poor townspeople. Then they suddenly understood that he meant that they looked at each other. They suddenly understood what he meant, and they looked at each other. You want us to plunder the rich and then give to the poor? Yi He said. Oh. Robin Hood? It's not plundering. We're getting alms from the rich to aid the poor. We only have a few people here. Even if we gather all of our money, we'd probably only get around 2 silvers. If we don't ask the rich to give us poor common people some money, then how do we get to Dragon Spring Sword Forging Valley? Ling Hu Chang said. When everyone heard the word Dragon Spring Sword Forging Valley, they all changed their minds and said, Let's get the alms. You're inexperienced at getting this kind of alms, so I'm afraid you won't be getting any money. The method is slightly different. Cover all your faces with handkerchiefs, and when you ask for alms from White Peeling Leather, you don't need to say anything. When you see the gold and silver, just take them, Ling Hu Chang said. Zheng E giggled. And if he's not giving them? Then that's unappreciative of him. Hangshan School's heroes are different from Wulin's other small warriors. Even if other people would send sedan chairs to ask you to visit, you still wouldn't pay them a visit. How can they ask you to come that easily? White peeling leather is just a small town boss. What kind of position does he have in Wulin? If he unexpectedly gets a visit from 15 honorable masters from Hangshan School, isn't this giving him a lot of face already? If after seeing you he still doesn't want to give you alms, then you might as well trade some moves with him. See if White Peeling Leather's martial arts is better, or Martial Sister Zheng's fists and kicks are better, Ling Hucheng answered. Some of the disciples laughed as they heard him talking like this. Define monies? It's the plural of money. There were a few people who were more experienced, like Yi Qing, and they secretly thought that this was inappropriate. Hangshan School rules were very strict. They warn against stealing and plundering. This kind of getting alms definitely violated those rules. But Yihu and Zhang E were already hastily walking away, so those people who disagreed with this idea didn't manage to say anything more. When Ling Hucheng turned his head around, he saw Yilin's beautiful eyes were watching him attentively. He smiled. Little martial sister, you think it's not right? Yilin avoided his eyes as she replied softly. I don't know. Whatever you said we should do, I think they're always not wrong. So whatever you say is right. That day when I wanted to eat watermelon, didn't you go to the field and take a watermelon for me? Yilin's face turned red. You guys remember that? That was a long time ago. Yilin's face turned red as she thought of the time she spent together with him in that wild plain. Right at that moment, they suddenly saw shooting stars falling across the night sky, leaving long, beautiful trails. Ling Hucheng queried, Do you remember what you wished for? Yilin replied softly, I remember. As she turned her head around, she then continued, Big brother Ling Hu, this kind of wish is very effective. Really? What did you wish for? But Yilin just lowered her head and did not reply. In her heart, she was thinking, I've wished for several thousand times to be able to see you again. Finally, my wish came true, and I was able to see you. Suddenly, they heard the sound of a horse's gallop from far away. A person on horseback was coming from the south towards them from the same road that Yu Sao, Yihu, and the other disciples used to go away just then. But Yu Sao's group went without their horses. Who could it be? Everyone stood up and was looking towards the sound of the horse's gallop. Then they heard a female calling out, Ling Hucheng! Ling Hucheng! Oh wait, that's Yue Lingshan. Ling Hucheng's heart trembled as he recognized Yue Lingshan's voice. He called out, Little martial sister, I'm here! Yilin's body shook and her face turned pale. She then retreated a step. In the dark, a white horse came towards them. When it was still tens of feet away from them, Yue Lingshan stood up and suddenly pulled back on the rein, stopping the horse and making it neigh. When Ling Hucheng saw her riding hastily, he felt that something wasn't right. He called out, Martial sister, are master and master wife all right? Yue Lingshan was still on the horse, her face illuminated by the moonlight. He saw her looking pale as he heard her saying, Who's your master wife? Why do you have to concern about my dad and mom? Oh. I should read that more aggressively. Who's your master wife? Why do you have to concern about my dad and mum? Ling Hucheng felt as if someone had punched his chest and his body swayed. Before, it was only Yue Buchun who was acting severely towards him, but Madame Yue and Yue Lingshan were still treated him like in the old times and didn't embarrass him. But now, hearing Yue Lingshan talking to him in this manner, he couldn't help but feel sad. Yes, I've already been expelled from Huashan School and don't have the good fortune of calling them master and master wife anymore. You already know you can't call them that anymore. Why did you still call them that just now? Yue Lingshan scolded. Ling Hucheng could only hang his head down and felt as if his heart had been stabbed by a knife. Yue Lingshan uttered a as she rode the horse forward a few steps. She demanded, "Give it to me," as she extended her right hand forward. Ling Huchong answered despondently, "What? Even now you're still pretending? Do you think you can conceal it from me?" She suddenly shouted louder, "Give it to me!" Ling Huchong shook his head. "I don't understand. What do you want?" "What do I want? I want the Lin family's evil resisting sword manual." "Evil resisting sword manual? Why are you asking me?" Ling Huchong was baffled. Yue Lingshan laughed coldly. "If I don't ask you, then who do I ask? Who took that Buddhist robe from the Lin family's old house?" "Those two chaps from Songshan School, White Hair Immortal, Wu Chun, and Bald Eagle, Sha Tianjian." "Who killed these two chaps, Bu and Sha?" "I did," Ling Huchong answered. "And that Buddhist robe, who took it?" "I did." "Then give it to me," Yue Lingshan demanded. "I was injured at the time and passed out after getting to the old house. Then your mother saved me. When I came to, the Buddhist robe wasn't with me anymore," Ling Huchong said. Yue Lingshan looked up and laughed, but there wasn't a hint of real laughter in her voice. She said, "So according to you, my mum embezzled the manual? What contemptible and shameless words that are coming out of your mouth." I didn't mean that your mother embezzled it. God's above and inside my heart. I didn't mean to disrespect your mother in the slightest bit. I only said... What? Your mother must have seen this Buddhist robe and realized that it belonged to the Lin family, so she must have given it to Martial Brother Lin," Ling Huchong reasoned. So when do we get to the inevitable bedroom part of the episode? I don't know if there's gonna be a bedroom part right now. It doesn't seem like it. Imagine if I had to act out the bedroom part. If I had to do the voice acting for that. That'd be funny. Imagine if I read erotic stories like that. Yue Lingshan coldly said, "Why would my mom search you? You disregarded your own life to snatch that thing back to supposedly return to Martial Brother Lin. Couldn't you have returned it when you woke up? Why wouldn't she have given you face over this matter?" Ling Huchang thought, what she said is true. Then someone had stolen the Buddhist robe? As he pondered about this, cold sweat started to pour out from his back. If it's like that, then there must be some other reason. He then shook his clothes all over. "I don't have the Buddhist robe on me. If you don't believe me, you can search me." "You're a very clever person. Why would you keep it on yourself after taking other people's stuff? Also, you have so many shady nuns and monks with you here. One of them could have kept it for you." Yue Lingshan was treating Ling Huchong like she was examining a prisoner. All the Hangshan school disciples already thought that this was unfair. When they heard her insulting them, a few of them cried out at the same time, "Nonsense! What shady nuns? There are no monks here. Aren't you shady yourself?" Yue Lingshan grabbed her sword handle and shouted, You're all Buddhist disciples, but you're entangled with this man and follow him day and night. Can't this be called shady? Puh, shameless." Hangshan school disciples were outraged. 7 or 8 of them immediately pulled their swords out. Yue Lingshan also drew her sword and shouted, "You want to rely on numbers to win and shut me up? Come on, if Lady Yue is afraid of you people, then I wouldn't be a Huashan school disciple." Ling Huchang waved his left hand, stopping the Hangshan school disciples from attacking. He sighed, "You already suspected me from the beginning, so I don't have anything to say to that. How about Lao De Noa? How come you didn't go and ask him? He already stole the Violet Twilight secret manual. Maybe he also stole this Buddhist robe." "You want me to ask Lao De Noa, don't you?" Yue Lingshan replied loudly. Ling Huchang thought that her question was strange, but he still answered, "Yes." "Okay, then come here and take my life. you're already proficient in the Lin family's evil-resisting sword art, so I'm not a match at all. Yue Lingshan shouted. Why? Why would I want to injure you? You wanted me to ask Lao Dunhua, if you don't kill me then, how do I meet him in this world? Yue Lingshan said. Oh. Ling Hucheng felt happy and surprised when he heard this. He asked, Lao Dunhua, your father killed him? He knew that after he was expelled from the Huashan school, Lao Dunhua, his martial arts, would be the highest among the disciples. If Yue Buchun didn't kill Lao Dunhua himself, then other people might not be able to do away with him. If Yue Buchun didn't kill Lao Dunhua himself, then other people might not be able to do away with him. Ling Hucheng hated Lao Dunhua to the bone, as he had killed Lu Dayou. But, so when he heard that Lao Dunhua had died already, it was a joyous occasion. Yue Lingshan laughed coldly. When a gentleman does something, he takes responsibility for it. You've killed Lao Dunhua. Why do you still not admit to it? Ling Hucheng was totally puzzled. You said I killed him? If I had really killed him, why wouldn't I admit to it? This person had killed 6th Martial Brother and deserved to be killed. My only regret is that I couldn't do it with my own hands. Then why did you also kill 8th Martial Brother? He didn't offend you at all. You're so cruel, Yue Lingshan said in a loud voice. Ling Hucheng was even more startled. His voice was trembling. 8th Martial Brother and I are good to each other. Why would I want to kill him? Ever since you colluded with the Devil Sect, your behavior has been really strange. Who knows why you want to kill 8th Martial Brother? You... Her tears started to flow as she said this. Ling Hucheng took a step forward and said, Little Martial Sister, don't guess wildly. 8th Martial Brother was still very young and didn't have any enmity with anyone or did anyone wrong. Not just me, even other people wouldn't have the heart to harm him. Then why did you have the heart to kill Lin Pingzhi? Wait. Ling Hucheng was apprehensive as he asked, Martial Brother Lin? He also died? Yue Lingshan whimpered, He hasn't died yet. Your sword didn't manage to kill him, but who knows whether he'll be alright. Oh, something happened, you guys. Something big happened. Ling Hucheng calmly asked, He's heavily injured, is he? He would naturally know who attacked him. What did he say? Who else in this world is as crafty as you? You attacked him from behind. He has no eyes in the back of his head, Yue Lingshan answered. Ling Hucheng felt heartbroken and bitter. He couldn't check his anger as he pulled his longsword out, gathered his chi, pulled his arm back, drew a breath, and threw the sword out. The sword flew out towards a tall tallow tree with a trunk of a few feet diameter wide. It went through the middle of the tree and severed it. Half of the tree started to shake before it crashed thunderously, throwing up stones and dust off the ground. When Yue Lingshan saw the extent of the power displayed, she pulled her horse's rein back to retreat a couple of steps. What? So you've already learned the Devil Sect's evil method, and your martial arts is very good now. You want to show off in front of me? Ling Hucheng shook his head. If I wanted to kill Martial Brother Lin, I didn't have to do it from his back. My strike would not have failed to kill him either. Who knows what kind of crafty scheme you're planning? 8th Martial Brother must have seen you sneaking around, so you killed him to shut him up. Then you chopped his face up, imagining that it was second Lao Dunhua. Ling Hucheng took a deep breath, knowing that there must be some kind of secret plot going on here. He asked, Lao Dunhua's face was also chopped up? Why do you ask me? How could you not know when you did it with your own hands? Who else from Huashan School was injured? You killed 2 people and injured 1. That's not enough, Yue Lingshan answered. When Ling Hucheng heard what she said, he knew that no one else had been injured and felt relief. He thought, who did all these? Suddenly, his heart felt cold as he remembered what Runwo Singh said that day at the Plum Manor. He said that if Ling Huchong didn't join the Devil's Sect, then he would destroy the Huashan school and slaughter everyone in it. Could it be that he had arrived in Fuzhou and already started to destroy Huashan school? He hurriedly said, You quickly go back and report to your father and mother. I'm afraid it was the Devil Sect's big leader who has come to harm Huashan school. She pursed her lips before laughing coldly. Right. It is a big leader of the Devil Sect who has come to harm my Huashan school. Now he's a big leader of the Devil Sect, but in the past he belonged to the Huashan school. This is called to raise the tiger to sow seeds of disaster and repaying kindness with animosity. Ling Huchong laughed bitterly and thought, I promised to go to Dragon Spring to save Ding Xian and Ding Yi Shutai, but my master and master wife are confronted with a big disaster. What should I do? If it was really Runwo Singh, then I'm naturally not his rival. But my respected master and master wife are now facing a disaster. Even if I go there to sacrifice myself, it would still be of no use. But I should be there to die together with them. In all matters, there are important ones and not important ones. And in all relationships, there are those that are close to you and those far from you. Regarding Hangshan School's matter, I'm forced to let them manage it by themselves first. If I am able to stop Runwo Singh, then I'll go catch up to them at Dragon Spring to help. After he decided what to do in his heart, he said, Ever since I left Fuzhou earlier today, I've been together with martial sisters from Hangshan School. How could I have divided my body to go kill 8th martial brother and Lao de Noir? You might as well ask them. Ask them? They're already following you and have also followed your bad example. Couldn't they lie for you? When the Hangshan School disciples heard this, a few of them started shouting again. A few of the Buddhist nuns were retorting politely, while the secular disciples were scolding really sharply. Yue Lingshan pulled the horse's rein to retreat a few steps. Ling Huchong, little Lin has been injured heavily, but even when he's still in a coma, he's still concerned about the sword manual. If you still have the slightest feeling, then you should return that sword manual to him. Otherwise... You really think that I'm such a contemptible and shameless person? Ling Huchong asked. Yue Lingshan indignantly said, If you're not contemptible and shameless, then there's no one else in this world who is contemptible and shameless. Yilin heard everything that was said between them. She felt excited as she couldn't bear this anymore. Lady Yue, Big Brother Ling Hu treats you very well. His heart is actually very sincere towards you. Why are you scolding him so fiercely? Yue Lingshan laughed coldly. Whether he treats me well or not, you are only a nun. What do you know? Yilin suddenly felt disdainful as she felt that Ling Huchong had been accused falsely. Even if she had to die 100 times, she had to plead innocence for him. As for the Buddhist rules and regulations, or how Master would blame her in the future, she put all that at the back of her mind. She immediately said clearly, Big Brother Ling Hu told me himself. He also talks to you about this sort of things. He believed that he treats me well by harming Martial Brother Lin. Martial Sister Yilin, say no more. Your respectable schools is heavenly connecting glue and White Cloud Bear gallbladder pill. Could you please give it to Lady Yue for her to take back to treat the injured? Yue Lingshan shook the horse's head to turn her body around. You didn't manage to kill him, so you want to poison him now? I'm not gonna fall for that trap. Ling Huchong, if little Lin doesn't get better, And she started weeping, and then she stroked her horsewhip, urging her horse to gallop towards the south. As Ling Huchong heard the galloping of the horse gradually getting further, he felt a slight bitterness in his heart. Qin Zhuan said, This girl is so rude. It's best if her little Lin dies. Martial Sister Qin, we are Buddhists, and our hearts should be filled with mercy. Even though that lady isn't, we mustn't wish for other people's death. Ling Huchong suddenly remembered. Martial Sister Yi Jin, can I ask you for a favor to go for a trip? Martial brother Linghu only has to say what it is. I'll do it immediately. I don't dare. That person's surname, Lin, is a martial brother from the same school. According to Lady Yue, he was heavily injured. I believe your respectable school's is matchless and divine medicine. You want me to deliver the medicine to him, don't you? All right, I'll go back to Fuzhou straight away. Straight away. Martial sister Yilin, accompany me to go back there. Ling Huchong clasped his hand, thanking her. Thank you to honorable martial sisters for delivering the medicine. Martial brother Linghu was always together with us. How could you have killed those people? I'll speak to martial uncle Yue about this injustice, Yi Jian said. Yeah, Ling Shan is getting a little bit more annoying. Well, she's in love with Lin Pingzhi, right? So she must be really mad. Ling Huchong shook his head, laughing bitterly as he thought how Master had already believed that he had joined the Devil's sect, that he would stop at nothing and stop at no evil. Do they really think that Master would believe them? He thought of this as he looked at Yi Jin and Yi Ling galloping away from them. He considered, they're so concerned about me. If I abandon them and go back to Fuzhou, how can I feel comfortable? Moreover, Ding Xian's Shitai and her people are being besieged by the enemy, and I don't know whether Ran Wuxia really came out to Fuzhou or not. Then he saw Qin Chuan retrieving his sword and giving it back to him. He suddenly thought, if I wanted to kill martial brother Lin, why would I attack his back? Also, how can my sword not manage to kill him? If the person who attacked him was Ran Wuxia, how could he fail to kill him with a sword? Then it must be someone else. If it's not Ran Wuxia, then Master has nothing to worry about. When he thought about this, he felt slightly relieved. He then heard the faint sound of horses galloping from somewhere far. From the sound, he gathered that there were several horses coming, and thought that it must be Yu Sao and the other disciples coming back from getting alms. Sure enough, not long after, 15 people on horseback were seen coming towards them. When they arrived in front of him, Yu Sao said, Young hero Linghu, we managed to get a lot of gold and silver from begging alms, but I don't know how much we got. It's in the middle of the night, so we can't go and give some of these to the poor. Let's go to Dragon Spring now. We can delay helping the poor till later. Yihu then turned her head towards Yi Qing and said, Just then we met a young girl on the road. Did you meet her? I don't know who she is, but we traded some moves. Ling Huchong was frightened. She fought with you? Yes, this girl was rushing on horseback. When she met us, she scolded us for being shady nuns. How shameful. Ling Huchong secretly felt miserable and hastily asked, Was she heavily injured? Yihu was surprised. Hey, how did you know that she was injured? Ling Huchong thought, your temperament is like a firecracker going off. If she scolded you, then you definitely fight her. And if she had to fight 15 of you, then how could she not get injured? But he asked, where did she get injured? I asked her first, why did she scold us when we didn't even know each other? She said, I know who you are. You're Hangshan School's nuns who are not following rules and customs. I said, what not following rules and customs? Nonsense. You should clean your mouth. Then she lashed her horsewhip and didn't pay any attention to me anymore. She shouted, make way. So I grabbed her horsewhip and shouted, make way, and we started to fight. Yihu narrated the incident. Oh, Skylar, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it. Yu Sao explained, she pulled her sword out. We saw that she was from Huashan School, but it was too dark for us to look at her appearance clearly. Then I thought that she looked like Mr. Yue's daughter. I quickly told them to stop, but her arm was already injured in 2 places. However, the injuries weren't that serious. Yihu laughed. I already knew who she was from the beginning. Those Huashan School people at Fuzhou treated martial brother Linghu rudely. Also, when Hangshan School has a problem, they just put their hands in their sleeves and didn't care at all. so I wanted her to feel a bit of hardship. Martial's sister Yi showed mercy when fighting with this Miss Yue. She used the move Thread of the Golden Needle to slash Miss Yue's left arm, so she only did it lightly and only scratched her arm before she withdrew her sword. If she had used her full power, Miss Yue would have lost her arm, Zheng He added. Ling Hu had not calmed down yet when he felt worried again. Little Martial's sister was very arrogant, and she wouldn't admit defeat that easily. She would have considered that tonight's fight was a big insult to her. In all likelihood, she would also blame this on him. All these things happening were fate, and he couldn't do anything else. Luckily, her injuries were not that serious, and it shouldn't be a problem for her. Zhang He had observed that Ling Huchang's concern towards this girl Yue was unique. She said, "If we knew earlier that she was Martial Brother Ling Hu's martial sister, then we would just let her scold us, and it would be no problem. But it was so dark, so we couldn't see anything clearly. When we meet her the next time, we'll apologize to her." Yihu angrily said, "Apologize for what? We didn't wrong her at all. It was her who scolded us as soon as she spoke to us. There's no reason to do this anywhere in the world." Ling Huchang said, "We've already got some alms. Let's go now." How did that white peeling leather react? He was feeling awful and didn't want to hear about Yue Lingshan anymore, so he changed the topic. Yihu and the disciples she had taken with her started to talk about how they got the alms. They were all excited and they were talking over each other. Yihu said, "Usually when we go to a rich man's place for alms, even begging for one or two taels is already difficult. But tonight, we actually got several thousand taels." Zheng He laughed. "That white peeling leather was on the ground crying and shouting. He was saying that several decades of hard work was gone in one night." Qin Chuan laughed. "Who told him to have the surname White? He's been peeling other people's skin and plundering the things they owned. Now all he can see is a white courtyard." Everyone was laughing when they heard this, but not long after, they remembered about their martial uncle and master still being besieged by the enemies. Their mood became heavy. Ling Huchang said, "We have some funds for our journey now. Let's go catch up to them." All right. We're done. That was quick, wasn't it? I didn't even take a break. Oh. I just remembered. I just noticed. Did you guys notice? I didn't even take a break. Oh, all right. Well, might as well stay for the end. Yeah, the end is almost done. We're at the end. How did you guys like that chapter? What do you guys think of Yue Lingshan now? His little martial sister. Oh, it was really good. All right, so some important things happen this chapter. We find out that it was Lao de Noir who killed Monkey 6. All right, so we solved that mystery. And he also stole the that Violet's Twilight manual. And apparently, the Huashan school was attacked. We didn't see it, but apparently they were attacked. And Lin Pingzhi is injured. And the 8th apprentice brother, so one of the Huashan school disciples died. You like these girls better than the little martial brother, the little martial sister? Yeah. To be fair, her lover is dying, so I don't know. Maybe that's why she's such a bitch. Sister Yihe. Oh yeah, she did get beat up by Sister Yihe. There's so many female voices, I can't do them all. They all sound the same. What else happened? What else happened? The nuns stole money from that one rich dude. That's so funny. Yeah, that's about it. So even though they found out that he didn't steal that Violet Twilight manual, they're still mad at him. They still think he stole the other manual. So he can't catch a break, guys. A hero cannot catch a break. All right, I think we're done. We're done. I'm gonna take a drink of wine before we stop. Change the camera.